Ryan Girdusky joins us now, and he is rolling in. We were just having that discussion. Whether you're a Democrat or you're a Republican, we kind of have an era of magical thinking when it comes to the budget where nobody will actually tell you how the money is truly being spent and what has to occur for us not to be spending more. And we have these fights over continuing resolutions, but you're a pretty good guy with math. I mean, it basically comes down to it's hard to cut spending without addressing what we spend on Social Security and Medicare, right?
And the Pentagon. That's the truth. I mean, the Pentagon's a big part.
That's what I said. I said defense spending.
The Pentagon's the other. I mean, the thing is, the Pentagon has not passed an audit in, I think, 6 years. And the craziest thing is in 2000, we were set to pay off the entire national debt by 2012.
That's right.
So the Bush administration really, really, really threw us for a wrench. And ultimately, in a perfect world, what would happen is everyone would grab their hands, cut spending, raise taxes, and jump off the cliff together. That's not going to happen, though. So they're going to, we're all just rearranging deck chairs in the Titanic until we have a serious conversation about what our budget footprint looks like.
Ryan, there's also the fake urgency situation of this, right? They leave it until before the Christmas break because they know that people are starting to tune out, and whatever they do, whatever swampy conduct that is in this 1,547-page bill, whatever crazy spending, we're all going to forget. New Year's will be a little hungover, a lot of champagne, etc. It just feels like they're not even trying to be straight with the American people on where the money's going and how much money's going.
Right. And there are easy things to sit there and cut. That's the craziest thing, is there are things that no American would really be impacted by. Like if we cut 99% of U.S. aid, which is where you hear those crazy programs, like we give money overseas for like feminism studies in Saudi Arabia. Those are the things that like enrage most Americans. That all comes out of USA. Yes. We can pretty much cut and slice that department. There are ways to slash spending that are effective. Will you balance the budget off those things? Absolutely not. And I think that that's where you're kind of the rubber is meeting the road as far as, are we even getting those things? Like, why aren't we getting rid of the low hanging fruit? And we're seemingly just increasing spending rather than finding any which ways to cut it.
Well, it is true that small wins often lead to bigger wins. And so I agree that cutting those obviously unnecessary and wasteful things, it's like cutting the Doritos out of your diet before you start counting macros. It's making the small change before you make bigger changes. Something that I've been dealing with these days, by the way, counting your macros, not a lot of fun. Anyway, Ryan, I wanted you to tell us what's going on in Canada. First off, Pierre Poilievre catching fire on the internet right now for being a straight-talking, common sense, hopefully future Prime Minister of Canada. They got huge problems over there because of Trudeau. Trudeau has ruined that country in so many ways. But here's what Pierre Poilievre says his mission is. This is cut one. Play it.
She cut everything out of her budget. Every creature comfort, everything she enjoyed about her life, she cut it out so that she could drop one of those part-time jobs. And then one morning, she woke up and she walked outside and her car was gone. And she called her insurance and they said they weren't going to cover the replacement value. So she had to take that job back because she simply cannot live her life without a car. Now you can bet your bottom dollar the guy who stole the car, he was probably out on bail. This was not his first job.
That's right.
Her taxes have gone up. Her heating bill has gone up. Her wages have not gone up. She's scared to go out in the streets in places where they didn't even lock the door not long ago. These are the people we're fighting for. These silly games over here, they're very entertaining, the soap opera that everyone's seized with today. That's all fine. But there are real people whose lives are on the line here, and we have a duty to work for them.
It's resonating, Ryan, down south here, south of the Canadian border. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, there is an election going to happen sometime in 2025 in Canada. Canada, like the United Kingdom, they don't have a fixed election date. They say sometime this year the prime minister gets to call an election, and their elections, I think, are a few weeks long. It's not like a 2 year long race in the United States. Right now, according to the Abacus data poll, which is a pretty good online polling company back up in Canada, the Liberal Party, which is Trudeau's party, is polling around between 21 and 22%. And the Conservative Party is between 44 and 45%. Now, they have a first past the post system in Canada, which is like we have in the United States. Whoever gets the largest in a single member district wins, irregardless of the percentage that the vote goes overall. So like that, you'll see like the Libertarian Party gets like 3% nationally, but they don't get any seats because you have to win one specific seat. That's the way it works in Canada too. It's not proportional. Right now, as of right now, with the Abacus and Abacus polling, Trudeau's Liberal Party is set to lose between 85 to 95% of all their seats. That is how bad Trudeau is polling. So the push to make Trudeau resign is the push to save the Liberal Party of Canada. It is not without historical precedent in Canada that when a party, a major political party, loses enough seats, the party just dissolves. There was a party one time called the Conservative Progressive Party of Canada. This was the center-right party. And one year, in one election cycle, they lost 154 of 156 seats. And they just went away. They said there's no point. They ran 2 more cycles. They still couldn't win any major seats. And they just became the Conservative Party. They merged with Stephen Harper's Conservative Party. And that party no longer exists. The Liberal Party is very, very worried that they may not exist. They could be the 4th largest party. And in Canada, if you receive less than 12 seats in the House of Commons, you don't get federal money. You're not considered a major party. You lose tons of stature, and it becomes almost impossible, if not very, very difficult to ever regain that. So the push to oust Trudeau is a push to save the Liberal Party in any capacity, which who knows if that's going to happen by the end of next year.
Ryan, what's the impact if Pierre Poilievre or someone like him becomes the leader of Canada in a somewhat similar fashion while Trump is the leader here? How would that change things in North America in your mind? What impact would it have on America, if any?
Well, obviously we have a lot of trade with Canada. That's a major, major part of it. But also the number of illegal immigrants coming from north of the border to Vermont, through upstate New York, through Maine is substantial. It's not as small as it used to be because under Justin Trudeau, the population of Canada through immigration has increased by 14% in the last 5 years. That would be like America taking in 50 million people in the last 5 years. And Biden took a lot in, but he didn't take 50 million in. And while the population has exploded, which has caused a massive housing crisis. It's caused scarcity of resources, scarcity of hospital beds, scarcity of classrooms. There's also the issue of the fact that the GDP hasn't grown since Trudeau took over. The GDP has grown in Canada by about 1.6% versus about 19% in America. So Canada is definitely on reeling. I mean, they're reeling from Justin Trudeau's socialist policies. And we are reeling from the fact that we are having an excess number of illegal immigrants who are getting student visas in Canada, who are getting work visas in Canada, and then coming across the border as quickly as possible. It creates a national security threat. In some places like China, the number of Chinese nationals who have moved to Canada is substantially higher. And it's an issue whether it comes to our own border security, period. And that is, I think, the main point is, number one, immigration. And the second thing is trade going in for it. Now, Canada still has higher prices on certain American goods. They don't ban outright certain American goods, but they have preferential treatment towards Canadian goods. All those things become a very, very big issue when you're talking about renegotiating possibly NAFTA and also working about how to stop drugs from coming across the border. So Pierre may be, I mean, he's not a vastly right-wing person. He's far more conservative than Trudeau is, but he will have the largest majority of any conservative government in the entire Western Hemisphere, far larger than Boris Johnson had in 2019, larger than Trump ever had, larger than Reagan ever had. So it will be the ultimate real test in a Western democratic government. Can you do a massive reform? I mean, he could make Canada the blueprint like El Salvador, or he could, be one more failed Western leader. Who knows? But he will have the largest majority of any Western Democratic leader, conservative Democratic leader, in the entire Western Hemisphere.
It has been remarkable to see the way that Pierre Poilievre, just by we're speaking to Ryan Girdusky, but Ryan, just by saying things that seem obvious, that is a defiant thing to do in Canadian politics. It seems, right, to say things like, "How is it that housing prices?" I think I heard him say that Trudeau spent $60 billion to make housing more affordable, and housing prices went up astronomically after spending $60 billion to make it more affordable. Like, this stuff is, I don't know how any libs in Canada who voted for Trudeau do not feel like total morons.
Well, Trudeau is losing 40% of his base that voted for him just in 2019. That would literally be like the Democratic Party post-election being left to San Francisco, Chicago, the Upper West Side, and a few other hot spots, and that's it. I mean, it would be like the Democratic Party having like 25 or 40 seats in the House of Representatives. That's how badly Trudeau is doing. And the problem is that liberals, and this is true in America, it's true in the UK, it's true in Canada, economists and liberals have said, in order to grow your economy, you need mass immigration. There's no way around it. Well, the UK and Canada have had unprecedented mass immigration for the last 4 or 5 years, and both their economies have sunk because of it, and there have been housing crises because of it. And people have approached the idea of housing as a supply issue when in fact it is a demand issue. When you have unlimited mass immigration, you'll never build enough houses, especially considering 80% of the Canadian population lives within a stone throw of Michigan, New York, or Washington. They all live very, very close to the United States border because it's too cold in the Yukon territory. So this is a major issue for Canada. Obviously, if he's there, if Pierre becomes a conservative leader in Canada and the United States has a conservative president, there'll be a lot easier cooperation. And Mexico, being the last of the 3 major countries in North America, having a very far left president, a leader, which is their leaders, very socialistic, will at least have a 2 people on one side, hopefully, on most major trade issues, but also on the issue of American influence. Our sphere of influence has declined substantially since the turn of the millennium as China has grown, as other countries go, but primarily China. So this is a major concern. You want people who have the same worldview as you, and you also want a situation where you have someone who cares about their border and their mass immigration when it is our only neighbor to the north.
Ryan Girdusky, good stuff as always. Appreciate you, my man.
Thank you.
And wait, can I just say something? Ryan is launching a podcast on the Clay and Buck Network in the new
that's
year.
Important.
Yes.
Very
Ryan, exciting.
What is the name of the podcast, and what's kind of the overview of what you're going to be tackling?
It's called It's a Numbers Game with Ryan Girdusky. And basically every week I will present to you some data, mostly on politics, but also on the economy and culture and other issues. And I will break down the numbers that you should know on different kinds of issues. Our first episode, we're going to be talking about the new House of Representatives and the new Senate, and which are the key players that will make the difference in such a tight House of Representatives and the upcoming Senate elections in 2026.
Awesome stuff, Ryan. Check that out. Podcast Network has exploded in popularity. You guys are killing it. We appreciate all the subscribers, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
That's Ryan Girdusky, newest member of the Clay and Buck Podcast Network coming. That network is absolutely dominating. 2025 is going to be a lot of fun with that as well. Now, it is 1 week until Christmas. Are you potentially feeling a little bit tired? Maybe you were out late last night for a company Christmas party. Maybe you got family and friends coming in, going to be staying at your house. Maybe you are traveling all over the place. Maybe those grandkids or kids, they're out of school. They're going to be running around like crazy, expecting you to keep up with them. If you're a man, testosterone can help you do that. And if your testosterone levels are declining as they do as you age, how much difference could 20% more testosterone make in your life? All natural at Chalk. You can get hooked up. By the way, that's their male vitality stack. They also have a female vitality stack. It's all natural. and it will help you have more energy. You can check it out, chalk.com, CHOQ.com. They have a holiday special. When you use my name, Clay, you get a massive discount on any subscription, plus a $50 bonus product to your first delivery when you use my name, Clay. That's chalk.com, CHOQ.com. Limited time offer. You can cancel at any time. Best subscription value possible, CHOQ.com. My name, Clay. Check it out today.